You know, I hate to be the one to break this to you guys, but whether we wanted it or not, we stepped into a friendship with the Cabal against the darkness. No, seriously, this actually comes from the Bungie video documentary for Beyond Light known as Forged in the Storm. And in today's video, we're going to be going over pretty much everything that you need to know about this ViDoc, and we're going to be going over all the juicy information that Bungie drops in this video. Of course, it includes a bunch of developer commentary, some new gameplay, and a bunch of new details. I highly suggest that you do watch it for yourself, either before or after this video, but we're going to be covering everything that Bungie talked about, from the actual DLC itself, the story elements, some of the new details that we got to see, as well as a new roadmap and a bunch of the seasonal content that's going to be launching alongside Beyond Light. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, Bungie starts off with a bunch of details that we kind of already knew about. Beyond Light, of course, being the beginning of a new trilogy of expansions. They talk about, what went behind designing Europa, as, they put in a completely new weather system, which is going to drastically change, every single time that you're on Europa, how you're going to go about exploring it at any given time. Bungie's also putting a heavy emphasis on what's going to be below the ice of Europa, basically kind of implying that the above surface level of Europa is going to be kind of like its own destination, and below the ice is going to be completely its own thing. A bunch of stuff that we're going to be able to explore, and they even give us a sneak peek of the new, raid entrance. They give us a sneak peek of the raid cinematic of Guardians dropping into the entrance of the Deep Stone Crypt, and of course, this has a lot of hype behind it. This is the longest in Destiny franchise history that we've gone without a new raid, and of course, this is going to be a huge thing for Destiny 2, and I cannot wait to see what we're going to be getting from this raid. Bungie really didn't share much at all of the Deep Stone Crypt. That's pretty much all that we really got to see. They even talk about some of these story elements that's going to be going on with Beyond Light. Of course, we have Aramis, which is the villain. She's rallying all the Fallen on Europa and harnessing the power of the darkness to use it against humanity and the Traveler, and it's becoming such a huge threat that you even see humanity starting to ally with the likes of the Cabal, which I talked about in the beginning of this video. It's seeming to be a pretty huge moment for the story of Destiny 2. Bungie moves on from that, and they start talking about Stasis, the design philosophies that they have behind it, as well as some of the intricacies with the Stasis aspects and fragments, which you've already talked about before. Of course, with these skill trees for Stasis, you're going to have these things called aspects. These are going to be class specific, and they'll give you different kind of bonuses for your abilities, and then you'll have fragments, which can be used across any of the classes and give different sorts of bonuses as well, which are pretty much mutual between all classes. You even have this aspect right here. It says that shattering a frozen target is going to send out seekers that are going freeze other targets, kind of like Axion bolts, and a bunch of really cool bonuses that we can see from these actual skill trees that we'll be able to use. Aside from that, Bungie gives us a bit of a sneak peek of the new dark mode UI for the actual character screen, and you can see that it looks pretty cool. If you look to the top left, you can see you have the solar subclass. To the left of that, you can see the two diamonds, which is for the Arc and Void, and to the right of that, you can actually see the new Stasis subclass, which is the Revenant. If we take a further look at the screen right here, you can see the artifact in the bottom left, but if you take a look at the Hunter's class item, you can actually see that instead of a cloak, the actual class item is a backpack, meaning that it's actually not attached to the chest piece. It is its own class item. So if you guys ever wanted to wear a backpack, well, now's your chance. Now, aside from that, Bungie then moves on over and they start talking about some of the exotics. Of course, we've already seen a lot of these exotics via a previous trailer, but they talk about some of the exotics, and I'll give you guys a list of every single exotic that's coming in Beyond Light on screen, from the weapons to the armor. Now, there's a new exotic in this list named the Duality that we can see, and this is looking to be the new season exotic, as we've never seen it spoken about before. And it's looking like it's just being added in as like, hey, this is probably what you're gonna get from the season pass. And Salvation's Grip as well on this list is looking to be the raid exotic. Not only is it named after the darkness, but it seems to be the only Stasis exotic that we're seeing. And then after Bungie talks about the exotics, they show off some of the armor and some of the weapons that we've already seen. They then move on to talk about the New Light experience, and we see quite a lot here. Of course, the Cosmodrome is coming back. They're tweaking it and updating it from the Destiny 1 counterpart counterpart that we're used to. We're also able to see at least one new lost sector from this map from the bit of a preview that they're giving us, but we also see that there's a few things that are missing. Of course, Bungie did say that the plague lands were not going to be available, but we don't see the likes of the rocket yard or anything like that, so we're gonna have to all figure out what the Cosmodrome is fully coming back as, you know, what it entails, and kind of seeing what Bungie did to this zone and if they're going to be adding to it, or really what's going on with the Cosmodrome. But it's really nice that they're bringing it back. This is going to be a huge central for everyone that's going to be new light, and we can see tons of gameplay of strikes and missions and everything in between. It looks like they have quite a bit kind of fleshed out for any free-to-play and any newer players that are going to be joining Destiny. We can see the official character and vendor for the Cosmodrome as well, which is Shao Han, and Bungie showing him without his helmet. Of course, this actually crushes any of the theories that he was actually Prince Uldren in disguise. But then Bungie goes on and they talk about the new season for Beyond Light. So we've been over Europa, Stasis, the new light experience, and the exotics, everything like that. They move on and they talk about the new season that's launching with it, and it's going to be called Season of the Hunt. Now, the whole story of the season is one of Oryx's sisters, not Savathun, is actually using the power of the darkness across the solar system and trying to raise an army. And for us as Guardians, we're not only going to be working with the likes of Osiris to put a stop to this, but we're also going to be working with Prince Uldren himself in this new story arc. Now, Prince Uldren is now back, revived by a ghost at the end of Forsaken, and he's now calling himself the Crow. He has no recollection of anything that he did. He had no idea that he had anything to do with Cade or anything in between, but he is now a part of the story, and we're going to be working alongside him, and I'm very curious to see how the story is going to work out here, him learning about his past, or how we're going to be treating him from, you know, different types of stuff that we know personally. It seems to be a pretty crazy point of the story, and it seems to also be kind of completely disconnected from Beyond Light and kind of in its own little story bubble for this season. You have these things called cryptoliths that are going to be forming around the solar system, and they're going to be corrupting soldiers of the enemy races. They're going to be joining Oryx's sister's army, and it's basically, you know, us, Osiris, and the Crow, or Uldren. It's basically all of our jobs to put a stop to it alongside the events that are going on in Beyond Light. So quite a lot of stuff to unpack, but that's not even the end of it. Bungie also gives us a bit of a season roadmap, and there's quite a bit of stuff to unpack here as well. You can see that on launch day, of course, we're going to be getting Beyond Light. We're going to have the seasonal artifact, these things called Empire Hunts, as well as the Glassway Strike is going to be opening. You also can uncover the secrets of Europa, and weirdly enough, 3 days after the launch of Beyond Light in the new season, adept weapons are actually going to go ahead and be added to Trials of Osiris, which seems a bit weird to me. Bungie's not really giving us enough time to kind of grind up and kind of get ready for that type of activity. We're just kind of getting immediately thrown into it and being allowed to get adept weapons. I kind of wish they would have waited on this, potentially till after the raid, but adept weapons will be added pretty early on. We can see that a week after release, the season missions are going to start beginning, and the Wrathborn hunts are going to start beginning as well. You'll see that the first Iron Banner is going to be on December 8th, and the first dawning of the season is going to be on the 15th, as well as them teasing more. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. That is all the information that I wanted to go over today, and pretty much all the information that we ended up getting from Bungie. There's just a ton of new stuff to talk about, and a ton of really cool new stuff, not only from the actual expansion itself, but with the season that's launching alongside it. I wasn't expecting it to have this much stuff, especially with Osiris and Uldren Sov, and just, I don't know. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. I greatly appreciate all the support on the videos as of late, and I cannot wait for Beyond Light's release. Thank you guys so much for the support. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.